You're watching Continuum today, and we have the story of Sandy Gervais, a very close friend of our ministry, and we'll get to that in a moment. But when she was 4 years old, her parents divorced. Then when she was 8 years old, her estranged father came by and handed her $100 and said, "I'll never see you again." To Sandy, that left her with the feeling that that's all she was worth. Her life spiraled downward from there until one day she met the good news.
With that drug, you just want more, and you'll do anything to get more of that drug.
By the tender age of 4, Sandy Gervais's already volatile home life completely crumbled when her parents dissolved their marriage.
I can remember when I was 4 years old, when my parents separated. I can remember the argument that they had. My mom, she packed up her stuff and she left. My dad also left, and he said he was going to come back, and he didn't come back. So me and my brother, we were left there by ourselves.
Sandy's mother did come back, but Sandy only saw her father sporadically until another devastating event occurred.
When I was 8, my dad came there and he sat me on his knee and he gave me a $100 bill and he said, "I'll never see you again." So there I was, being left alone again. And that really does something to a child when their parents leave them more than once. So that really affected me.
With her father gone and her mother busy with work and her own social life, Sandy and her brother were frequently left to fend for themselves. Sandy began spending time with an aunt who first introduced her to the church.
Well, when I was 9, I went to go visit my Auntie Teresa on weekends, and my Auntie Teresa worked for Pastor Ken and Julie Kissick. Pastor Ken and Julie, they'd bring people out to a river out on the reserve, and they'd baptize them. And I just thought it was really cool. It was a cool idea that he was doing, because he explained that it was washing me clean. I let him baptize me, and then after that, some things happened to Streets Alive, and my Auntie Teresa moved on, and so I didn't get to go there anymore, and so my life continued down a different path.
Without that godly, stabilizing force, Sandy's life began to veer down a dark path. By the time she was 14 years old, Sandy was dating a 35-year-old man and had begun experimenting with drugs.
When I was 9 years old, my mom had met another man, and they started hanging out with bikers. So I was around older men all the time, and when you have abandonment issues from your father, you seek out older men. So I started to have feelings for a man that was older than me, and he introduced me to crack cocaine. So I tried it, and I was instantly addicted. And with that drug, you just want more, and you'll do anything to get more of that drug. As I went on in life, you trade all that you can, you give away all that you can, you even give away yourself so that you can get this drug. You give till you have nothing left.
Sandy's addiction to crack had taken over her life. Soon, she would do anything to get that next high. Sandy's boyfriend felt neglected and tried to use Sandy's addiction to his own advantage.
I began to realize that I was very addicted to it because I was not being intimate with him anymore, and he said, "If you want to continue to keep getting drugs from me, you need to be intimate with me." And at that moment, I made my first trade of my body for drugs. And I smoked so much that it scared me. It scared me so bad because I felt like my heart was just gonna blow out of my chest, and I was freaked out. So
Sandy didn't arrive home until 3 a.m. that night. Her mother and stepfather were waiting up for her. They were shocked when they saw the state she was in. She admitted to her addiction to crack, and her mother begged her to go for treatment. When Sandy refused, her mother put some tight restrictions on her.
I was only allowed to be alone with 3 friends. So each of those friends knew what was happening, and they contacted my mom all the time for me.
After 6 months, Sandy's mother believed Sandy had overcome her addiction and began loosening the reins. Within 2 weeks, Sandy had gone back to smoking crack. Without her ex-boyfriend supplying the drugs, Sandy would frequent local bars and latch onto men who showed signs of drug addiction. Sandy's life had once again spiraled out of control. She tried overdosing on several occasions. The drugs, alcohol, and men could no longer block out Sandy's deep depression. But a more permanent solution to Sandy's brokenness revealed itself in the form of an email.
Me and my friends, the way that we kept in contact, we'd get emails back and forth. And I got this one email from some friends. In the email, it explained about how people ask Jesus in their heart, but it was a forwarded email, so you know how people can make their posts on it or whatever and then re-forward it. Well, they were making fun of how people are asking some dead guy into their heart. But to me, I looked at the words on the page, and it just seemed so real. And I read it aloud. It was like, Jesus, come into my heart, into my life. I need you. And it was like all of a sudden, it was like this thing had been lifted off my shoulders, and it was like I was new. I had an understanding, a small understanding of Jesus, and I was baptized when I was 9. This seed that had been planted in my heart, it was like it was watered at that moment. At that moment, it was like Jesus healed me. He took the garbage out of my heart, and he replaced it. He replaced it with his love. At that moment, I was done. That was it for drugs. No more drugs for me. I had a new excitement. I had something to look forward to.
Sandy phoned a close friend of hers named Mike Gervais and told him of the new hope she had found in Jesus Christ.
I phoned him and I was so excited. So I told him, I was like, hey, I just got saved. And he had an understanding of it because he was brought up in the church, but he was living in the world with me at that time. And I was so hungry, and I read the Bible every single night, and I prayed for him while he was coming down off his drugs that he was doing, and it was 6 months. And finally he decided to just flip around his life. And then we started living for Jesus.
Sandy's life was transformed the day she received that email over 5 years ago. But it was just the beginning of a wonderful process of restoration and destiny, both for her and her friend. Sandy and Mike were married in 2009 and are living wholeheartedly for the Lord Jesus Christ.
So now I've been married to my husband for 5 years, and I've been saved for 5.5 years. My life that I live right now is I work at Streets Alive. The things that I get to do now and the people that I get to help now are the people who I was. And that's what excites me. And all the things that I lived through, none of it's wasted. And to remember that all the pain that you've been through, to just give it to Jesus. He died on the cross for our freedom. So we can choose to be free or we can choose to be in bondage. And I choose freedom.
I love how ministries and people God has anointed play such a role in all of these lives. And you think of Streets Alive in Lethbridge and Pastor Julie and Ken Kissick, and how they really brought Sandy along, and now she serves God with them in that ministry. But interesting, Julie has brought Sandy to Thailand. Sandy's really tied in because this is a nation, actually a bunch of nations across Asia, where women are really devalued. by the society and by the culture. And so she really has a heart. Both of these ladies have a heart to come year by year and minister to the Asian ladies, and so many breakthroughs. We've seen wonderful, wonderful things. So I'm so excited about that. It's so great to have such good friends of the ministry. Now, if you want to see the full half-hour episode of Sandy's life, is coming up on Continuum TV. That'll be in a few weeks, and you just watch for it on our website. Meanwhile, we're going to be back again next week with another Continuum Today, more action from this side of the Great Continuum that's going to warm your heart and bless your life.